What's up, everybody? Matt Kajeski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. And today we are talking Elite 8 bets ahead of Saturday, March the 25th. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. And if you're listening on podcast, please leave a rating and review. That helps us a ton. So thank you if you have done that. And we are brought to you by Bet365 today. If you are watching, you can see on the screen they have a phenomenal no-brainer limited time offer for you guys. When you make your first deposit with Bet365, you can place a $1 wager on any market, and you are automatically going to be paid out $365 in the form of free bets. So make sure to check them out. The link is in the video description below. Gambling. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, call or text. And the legal age for gambling in most states is 21 plus. All right. We've had a good tournament so far, but I think the number one conviction play of the tournament so far in Alabama and San Diego State went completely awry. But aside from that, it's been pretty good at this point. Had the over in the Texas Xavier game, had Miami, just Bama. Whew, the one seeds are down. It's exciting, just not for that particular bet. So here we have it. Let's move on to the Elite 8, and we'll kick things off. I have a new format here. There we go. Florida Atlantic taking on Kansas State. This is a 1.5 point spread in favor of the Wildcats. The total in the game sits at 143.5. This is the more challenging game to handicap because of the status of Marquise Noel. And he is allegedly, according to himself, 85 to 90% on that ankle that he rolled on Thursday night. Now, that is basically just complete guesswork trying to figure out how healthy Noel is. If you could guarantee me he was 100%, I think Kansas State does have advantages. As you can see on the screen, the efficiency metrics aren't quite as good. FAU plays in a weaker conference, so they have the ability to kind of rack up some really high efficiency numbers. And Kansas State is playing in the gauntlet that is the Big 12. So you're going to rack up losses there. Your efficiency numbers aren't going to look quite as good, but this team is still really solid on defense. FAU isn't a big team, and they've been kind of bullied at times throughout the year, even though they've got 3 losses. Kansas State does have size, and they have depth in the interior. They're 79th in height. FAU is 285th. Now, they still rebound well, but basically you're just working with Golden in terms of height. So that kind of creates some tough matchups inside with Key Johnson, with Ish Massoud, with Ngesson, with Tomlin. There's a lot of players that Kansas State can use on the interior. And then this is a team that generates a ton of turnovers on the other side. Now, Tennessee was also that, and FAU kind of beat them up. But at the end of the day, Tennessee had a lot of opportunities to win that game. Tennessee was the winner per shot quality of that game. Tennessee did force turnovers. Tennessee's offense just couldn't get going even remotely close to what was needed to knock off FAU there, which was a worry and something that we talked about, even though that we backed Tennessee lightly in that game. Anyway, Kansas State's a different team when you have the ball handler in Noel, you have depth in the front court, and you're also getting good minutes out of the role players that have been injured at times this year. Desi Sills injured down the stretch. So this is one I would take the 1.5 if you could guarantee me that Noel was fully healthy here. Just a hard one to handicap not knowing his full status, which also affects the total here. He's basically the engine of their offense. So the 143 total, I would have interest in the over if you could guarantee his health. But right now, this is probably going to be something I just play small on the Wildcats, not knowing the true status of Noel. Second game, I think, is a lot more interesting. We have Gonzaga taking on UConn. This is a 2.5 point spread in favor of UConn. I took this at 2. It is basically the worst case scenario for Gonzaga on the floor, who has a horrific defense. And it just so happens that perhaps their worst defender is Drew Timme. UConn has a lot of size. Generally, Timme can kind of bully his way on the inside, as we saw in the Sweet 16 game. Unfortunately, this isn't UCLA. UConn has a ton of height. This team overall is 60th in height. Gonzaga's 68th. Gonzaga typically has rebounding advantages over their opponent. They're 25th. They do not here. UConn is second. And UConn is awesome across the board. This team is 9th on offense, 13th on defense. One of their best defenders is actually Donovan Clingan. Excellent rim defender. Now, Drew Timme could put him in a blender. You've got a veteran versus a freshman, but a 7'2 freshman nonetheless. And at the very worst, His minutes just give you an insurance policy on Sanogo, who should have his absolute way with Drew Timme inside, who, again, go to evanmaya.com. Look at the player ratings. Look at BPR. Drew Timme is arguably the worst defender on that entire team. He has a nightmare matchup on the inside against Sanogo. Now, there's ways Gonzaga can win this game. This team is first in the country at 2-point efficiency. This team is 10th in 3-point percentage. They just don't take a lot of them. The problem is UConn's 19th at defending the interior. They're 19th at defending the 3-point range. So they essentially have an answer to everything Gonzaga tries to do on offense. And on the other side, you have Gonzaga ranked 218th in interior defense and 254th from three. We talked about the matchup with Sanogo and Klingon. Well, UConn is 69th in 3-point percentage. They're 35th in 3-point attempts. They have Hawkins and Jackson and a slew of guards. This team essentially runs a 9-man rotation. And if you have to go to guys like Calcaterra, Diarra, it's not the end of the world. Those aren't players you want on the court necessarily. But if one of the guards, the starting guards, gets in foul trouble, that's a lot more depth than what Gonzaga is going to put on the floor. So ultimately, I think everything here works in UConn's favor. I think that this is a spot where the depth works in their favor, even with foul trouble. They have enough bodies to surpass a team like Gonzaga, who just flat out doesn't play any defense and runs into a nightmare matchup with Klingon and Sanogo on the interior. That'll do it for us today. Let me know in the comment section what you think of these two games. If you're on the other side, or maybe if there's a player prop, something else you like in the game, I would love to hear it. You can also reach out on Twitter. I'm at Matt_Kajeski. Otherwise, we'll be back again tomorrow, breaking down the second leg of the Elite Eight. Good luck, and we'll see you guys then.